Hi, everyone. I'm Janice Chen, and this is how I turn the tables on someone who tried to destroy my life just because I'm different. Adjusting my wheelchair, I surveyed the dining table. The centerpiece should go here, I suggested, angling for the perfect view. Exhausted from therapy, I still wanted everything to be flawless for tonight's dinner with James's family. Whatever you think, sweetheart, James said, placing a gentle kiss on my head. You've got an eye for these things. Even after 2 years of marriage, his touch gave me butterflies. Who would have thought a wheelchair-bound software engineer married to one of Manhattan's most eligible real estate developers? Maybe we should cancel, I murmured, the words slipping out. Your mom probably won't approve of my table settings either. James knelt beside me, his expression tender but firm. Hey, look at me. Mom will come around. She just needs time. 3 years isn't enough time, I muttered. She still winces every time my wheelchair makes a sound. Before James could reply, the doorbell rang. I smoothed my dress, steeling myself. He gave my shoulder a reassuring squeeze before answering. James, darling. Victoria's voice echoed as she breezed in, barely glancing my way. Her perfume lingered as she surveyed the room. Oh, you've rearranged again. Janice did a beautiful job, James said warmly. Victoria sniffed. It's different. She turned, a gleam in her eye. Speaking of different, I brought someone along. Caroline Wilson's daughter, remember her? She just finished her MBA. Mom, James said, his tone icy. I'm happily married. Of course, James, she replied, feigning innocence. It's just networking. Strictly business. Dinner was a showcase of passive aggression. Victoria monopolized the conversation, weaving tales of country clubs and galas. James, the Hendersons are hosting a charity event next week. You must come. It's for such a good cause. I cleared my throat. We'd love to attend. Victoria's smile was thin. Oh, it's at the Metropolitan. I'm not sure they have appropriate access. They do, James interjected. I checked their website. Fully accessible. Victoria's tone remained syrupy sweet. Well, you know how these events are. Lots of dancing. It might be uncomfortable for some people. I tightened my grip on my fork. I may not dance, Victoria, but I can still enjoy an evening out with my husband. Of course, dear. I just worry about James. All this extra care. It must be exhausting for him. James slammed his glass down, breaking the tension. I think it's time for dessert. Later, as the city lights twinkled through our bedroom window, I sat in silence, staring out. James wrapped his arms around me from behind. I'm sorry about Mom. She was way out of line. Does she think I don't notice? I whispered. The conveniently scheduled events during my therapy, the family photos I'm excluded from, the endless parade of suitable women. She's trying to push me out. She'll accept us, Janice. What we have is real. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I leaned into his embrace, wishing I could believe him. But deep down, I knew Victoria Barrett wasn't done. Much later, I wheeled toward the study and froze at the half-closed door, voices drifting through. Rachel, we have to do something, Victoria was saying. Your brother's throwing his life away. James seems happy, Rachel replied cautiously. Happy? He's missing critical social connections because he's always playing nurse. Did you see how exhausted he looked at Christmas? That's unfair, Mom. Listen, Victoria pressed. Remember Sophia Hammond? Her father's firm is expanding, and she's still single. She'd be perfect for James. Are you seriously trying to set up my married brother? I've already spoken to Dr. Peterson. He's agreed to talk to James about the toll of caring for a disabled spouse. The stress, the limitations. He'll help James see this isn't sustainable. And Janice? Rachel asked, her voice tight. She trapped him. A disabled woman landing one of New York's most eligible bachelors? She saw dollar signs and played the sympathy card. My hands gripped the wheelchair so tightly my knuckles turned white. Victoria continued, undeterred. I've even heard she exaggerates her condition. Melissa saw her at the mall last week, moving just fine. I bit my lip, fury bubbling inside me. That day at the mall, I'd been in agonizing pain trying to retrieve a fallen shirt. My phone buzzed with a message from James. Dinner tonight with the Thompsons. Mom arranged it at La Jardin. My stomach dropped. I knew that restaurant, a grand staircase at the entrance, no ramp, no elevator. That evening as we pulled up, James jumped out, then froze. I didn't. I swear I didn't know. Of course you didn't, Victoria said smoothly, stepping out of her car, her face a mask of faint surprise. Oh dear, I completely forgot about the stairs. How embarrassing. Victoria exclaimed with mock innocence as the Thompsons arrived, clearly uncomfortable as James struggled to navigate the situation. We can go somewhere else, Mr. Thompson offered, trying to ease the tension. Nonsense, Victoria said quickly. We'll never get another reservation at this hour. James, dear, Janice won't mind if you handle this one alone, right? She understands business comes first. Actually, I interjected, pulling out my phone with a calm smile. I made a backup reservation at the River Cafe. They have a beautiful, accessible waterfront space. I also heard Mr. Thompson enjoys their famous chocolate cake. Mrs. Thompson's face lit up. The River Cafe? That's my favorite. Much better choice. Victoria's smile turned brittle as the group turned to head back to their cars. James helped me into ours, then paused, his brow furrowed. You knew this would happen, didn't you? He asked. Let's just say I've learned to have contingency plans, I replied. I'm so sorry, he said, guilt heavy in his voice. I should have checked. It's not your fault, I said gently, but then my tone hardened. But James, there's something you need to know about your mom and Dr. Peterson. As I recounted the conversation I'd overheard, I watched his face shift from confusion to anger. Victoria's mask was finally slipping, and maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a bad thing. The next day, as I worked at my computer, James walked up behind me and began massaging my shoulders. How's the new database project coming along? Actually, I've been working on a different kind of database lately, I said, pulling up a spreadsheet filled with dates, screenshots, and messages. His brow furrowed. What's this? Your mom's been busy on social media, I said, clicking through the files. Remember Linda from the hospital board? Her daughter's in a wheelchair, too. Victoria blocked their entire family from country club membership last year. James's jaw tightened. Are you serious? Here's more, I said, scrolling down. This is what she wrote about the Hendersons after they adopted a child with Down syndrome. Some people just love collecting sympathy points. This is disgusting, James said, his voice low and furious. How did you get these? Her password wasn't exactly Fort Knox material, I replied dryly, and there's more. I pulled up financial records. Notice anything strange about these charity donations? James leaned in, his eyes scanning the numbers. These don't match our foundation's records. Exactly, I said. She's been skimming money from every fundraiser. The children's hospital renovation, disaster relief drives. Half the funds went straight into her personal account. His face darkened. And she's hosting the charity gala tonight, getting an award for her dedication to diversity and inclusion. The irony is staggering. At the gala, Victoria was in her element, gliding through the crowd in a designer dress, likely purchased with stolen donations. She greeted guests with practiced charm, oblivious to what was about to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, the board chairman announced, stepping up to the podium, before we present our Humanitarian of the Year award, we have some additional materials to share. The giant screen behind him lit up, displaying Victoria's social media posts. Her face drained of color as her hateful words filled the room. Disabled people should know their place, preferably not in public. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then came the financial records, revealing the missing charity funds and the damning paper trail leading to her personal accounts. Security, stop this presentation, Victoria shouted, her voice shrill with panic. But it was too late. My daughter isn't broken, Linda said, rising from her wheelchair, and neither is your daughter-in-law. The Henderson's child is perfect just as he is, another voice called out. More people stood, sharing stories of Victoria's cruelty and discrimination. This is ridiculous, Victoria sputtered, her gaze darting around the room. James, tell them this isn't true. James stepped forward, his expression cold. What should I tell them, Mom? That you bribed our family doctor to lie about my marriage? That you stole from charities? That you spent years discriminating against people like my wife? I was protecting our family's reputation, Victoria shouted. By tearing others down, I wheeled forward, meeting her panicked gaze. By stealing from sick children, you've brought shame on this family, Victoria, and now everyone knows it. Victoria stormed toward the exit, but two police officers intercepted her. As they placed her in handcuffs, James leaned down to me. "Turns out," he said, his voice soft but resolute, "I wasn't the only one investigating those missing funds." As Victoria was led away, my phone buzzed with an email from the Children's Charity Board. They wanted me to help develop an accessibility initiative for all their facilities. "Looks like some good might come from this after all," James said, squeezing my hand. I watched the crowd disperse, whispering about Victoria's downfall. Sometimes karma needs a little push, from a girl with tech skills and a wheelchair. Another round of funding secured, I announced, wheeling into our penthouse office. James, deep in a stack of documents, looked up with a grin. "That's my brilliant wife. How many millions this time?" "Enough to launch the adaptive tech program in every major hospital in the state," I replied, beaming. The TV hummed in the background until a familiar name grabbed our attention. Breaking news. Socialite Victoria Barrett pleads guilty to charity fraud and tax evasion. The former chairwoman faces uptoe. "Turn it off," James sighed. I shook my head, my gaze steady. "Your mother made her choices, every single one of them." My phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "Mom's trying to sell her Hamptons house. Nobody will buy it. They're all afraid of the scandal." James chuckled, breaking the tension. "Speaking of houses, guess who just bought the building where Lady Jardine used to be?" "You didn't," I said, already knowing the answer. "I did, and the first thing we're installing is the city's most beautiful wheelchair ramp." The irony wasn't lost on me. The same restaurant where Victoria had tried to humiliate me would soon house my company's new Accessibility Innovation Center. 3 years later, I was finalizing preparations for Tech Without Barriers, our annual accessibility conference, the largest of its kind in the country. "Ma'am," my assistant said softly, leaning down to whisper, "Victoria Barrett is in the lobby. She's asking to speak with you." I wheeled toward the glass doors and spotted her. No designer clothes, no air of superiority. She looked older, tired. "Janice, please. Just 5 minutes," she said, her voice trembling. "I hear you're living in a small condo in Queens now," I said, watching her flinch. "Quite a change from the mansion." "I've changed," she said, her eyes pleading. "I've learned my lesson. What I did to you, to all those families. I'm sorry." "Sorry you did it or sorry you got caught?" I asked, my tone cool. "Please," she begged, stepping closer, tears brimming in her eyes. "I have nowhere else to turn. James won't even take my calls. Maybe you could talk to him." "Like how you tried to get him to leave me?" I asked, my words sharp but even. "I was wrong," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You're the best thing that ever happened to this family." I adjusted my chair, preparing to re-enter the conference hall. "You know what the funny thing is, Victoria? I actually believe you mean that now, but some bridges stay burned." Through the glass doors, I saw her deflate, the weight of her actions heavy on her shoulders. Inside, the crowd erupted in applause as I took the stage. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we're proud to announce a new scholarship program for disabled entrepreneurs," I began. A playful smile crossed my lips. "And yes, it will be headquartered in a beautifully renovated building with the city's most impressive wheelchair ramp." Laughter rippled through the room, a stark contrast to the silence outside as Victoria lingered in the shadows. The woman who once tried to erase me from society now found herself erased from its circles. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so high that those who sought to break you become irrelevant. As I looked out at the crowd, full of people Victoria once tried to exclude, I realized we hadn't just survived her prejudice. We thrived in spite of it. Now let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have accepted her tearful apology or kept walking like I did? Some scars, I believe, can't be healed by words alone. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.